Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Digital Product Masterclass series. This is the first lesson of this series. There will be a total of 7 classes, and throughout this series, I am going to be teaching you how to create and also how to go about selling digital products. Now, digital products can be a wide variety of different types of things. This could be software such as a WordPress plugin, or even software that actually runs on a PC or Mac computer. This could be videos, live training classes, just like the one that you're on now, things like ebooks. Even though I will be talking about a number of specific kinds of digital products in this series, please keep in mind that you're certainly not limited to the things that I will be teaching you about. There are all kinds of other types of products that will work for this type of strategy. So the basic idea here is to create something. So you put in the work one time to build a product, and then you can continue to sell that product over and over again into the future. But where this whole strategy really becomes powerful is when you bring affiliates on board. So you promote the product yourself and you try to refer as many sales on your own product as you can, but then you also get an entire group of marketers that's willing to promote your product to their audience. And they're doing this so they can earn part of the commissions on your sale. The end result, though, when you can get a decent number of affiliates on board to promote a brand new product that you are releasing, you can easily do tens of thousands of dollars in sales in just a single week. And honestly, this is not the upper end of the earnings scale as far as a product launch goes. This is honestly maybe middle of the range. There are a lot of people that try to create and launch products and are not successful at all, or have a low number of sales to where they may only be generating hundreds or a couple of $1,000s worth of sales in a week's time period. So something like $40,000 in a single week is pretty good compared to a lot of the other, uh, lower earning product launches that you have out there. However, there are tons of product launches that take place that earn into the six figures, and there's a very small handful of them that even earn seven figures. And I'm talking about in 1 week. Now, this is gross revenue that I am talking about here. The affiliates do earn a portion of those sales, and sometimes this can be easily 50% of the gross revenue if the affiliates are referring the vast majority of those sales for you. So when you see a product launch that takes place and it's generating hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of sales, or even $1 million worth of sales, you always have to ask yourself, what exactly are they putting into one of those product launches to achieve those kinds of numbers? I guarantee you there is not a seven-figure product launch taking place where it's just one person that created a product. It's usually a whole team of people that's involved in those major launches. And so that $1 million ends up getting split up quite a few different ways. And in the end, each single person is really only taking home somewhere in the five-figure neighborhood apiece. The way I do product launches, though, is completely solo. I don't hire anybody to create the products for me. I don't hire anybody to run the launches for me. You can hire somebody to do customer support for you and not have to sacrifice a very large portion of your earnings. But going the solo route, you basically just get to keep a lot more of your earnings. And you don't have to have crazy successful launches to be able to make it successful. This is why, at least in the beginning, I recommend for you to not get too involved with having a lot of different partners or having to do an incredible amount of outsourcing until you understand this entire process and get a good handle for what's involved, what kind of earnings can you really expect from it, and then you can really know how many times you could divide that up and still make a decent living from it. So now with all of that said, I want to dive into some more specific training for today. Today, I'm mostly going to be focusing on the niche selection. This is where you choose what kind of a digital product developer are you going to be? What will you be known for? If I ask what I'm known for in terms of the kinds of products that I create, you could probably answer that with one or two words. WordPress, Amazon would be really simple one word answers that you could give to that question. Pretty much everything that I've ever created is within the realms of those two words. Have I done this because I don't know how to do anything else? Or is there another real reason for it? You can create products of any kind. You can jump around from one niche to the next, and you might have varying degrees of success by doing something like that. However, you will find the most success when you can focus on one specific niche and stick to that throughout your entire marketing career. If you decide to branch off and do something else, you basically start a whole brand new business from scratch. So, for example, if I want to create a product that's outside of the WordPress or the Amazon realm, I'm basically starting over. My customers that I already have from previous products that I've sold, they're really only interested in those things. So if I create something completely outside of that, chances are not many, maybe even none of my current customers would be interested in those kinds of products. Now, beyond the actual customers are the affiliates. The affiliates that I have had participating on my product launches, promoting these things for me, they also have customers that are interested in very specific things like Amazon or WordPress. So again, if I go outside of that realm, then not only are my customers not going to be interested in what I create, but all of my affiliates that I've built up are also not going to be interested in promoting it. So that's why you start over. If you're constantly jumping from one niche to the next. So this is why it's extremely important for you to actually put some effort into what I will be teaching you from this class. Despite the fact that during today's class, we're not actually going to be technically doing anything. We're not really going to be building anything or learning about selling any kind of product. Despite that, though, I still recommend that you do not skip what I will be teaching you in today's class, because the results of what come from what I'm going to teach you in today's class can affect you for the life of your entire marketing career, unless you want to completely reinvent yourself and start over from scratch. The idea here, though, is to build a name for yourself, to become known for something. Then, once you have that first or a couple of product launches under your belt, you have these affiliates, you have these customers that are already going to be interested in what you do. And your future product launches can become more and more successful as time goes on. Now, even with that said, you can have still a very successful first product launch if you go about it the right way. And that is something that I will be teaching you out throughout the course of this entire series, because I've been there before myself. I've seen other people come and go in this industry over the years. I've been creating and launching my own digital products since 2010. And the vast majority of the people that were around in 2010 are not still here today. And it's not because this type of business is not a reliable type of business, it's that they conducted their business in the wrong way. They didn't have a niche focus, or they didn't have a real business plan that would actually generate ongoing revenue for them. Before I actually dive into the specifics of talking about picking a niche, um, that is something else that I want to mention very briefly that's super important. Your earnings when you are doing these product launches, you can make a lot of money in that first week of your product launch, and you can have ongoing sales even after that. However, if your only focus is running an amazing product launch and trying to achieve big numbers from that, you will find yourself in essentially a never ending loop of creating a product, launching that product to earn some revenue. You sit on that revenue for a month, a couple of months, while you make another product to launch it again. And so when you look at your revenue, if all you do is launch products, if you look at your revenue on a graph, it'll look pretty much like a roller coaster. You'll have really big ups and then you'll have really big downs in between it. So, another part of the goal of this series is to teach you how to avoid that very, very common pitfall that causes a lot of people to essentially go out of business when they're in one of those down slumps in between their launches. So, with that said, I want to talk about digital products in kind of some vague terms. I've already been talking about some of these things as I go, so a couple particular ones I might not focus on for too horribly long here. Essentially, a digital product is anything that you can create and sell on a computer where you don't have to ship an actual good to somebody, where you don't have to go to somebody's residence or place of business to perform a service. So digital products can be things like training courses or software, plugins, and things of that nature. It can also be digital services, such as building a website for somebody, doing consulting for somebody, helping to fix websites for people, providing various kinds of website services, hosting, SEO. There's really an endless number of different kinds of digital products. Now, a niche is a closely defined topic within the grand digital product industry. What kind of digital products are you going to create? What will you be known for? For my career as a digital product creator, I've always created Amazon products. It is pretty much what 95% of the training courses and other digital products that I've ever created. They revolve around Amazon, maybe WordPress, a couple of them that had nothing to do with Amazon. Pretty much all of those had something to do with WordPress. It was still connected to my original niche, though, because most of the Amazon customers have always built their sites using WordPress. So you also want to have this clearly defined niche that you are going to be about. Now, the next thing is, what do you already know? You can go out and blindly choose to create some new type of product that you have an idea for. But if you already have some current knowledge or skills that could potentially be applied to a digital product that you create, you will often find the most success. You will have to put forth less effort in those types of industries where you're already pretty familiar with it. For me, I started as an Amazon product developer because that's what I was already doing. I already built Amazon sites for myself. I was already an active Amazon affiliate. I shared one of my websites one day on a marketing forum, and people started going crazy about it. And they were like, "How did you build it? What software did you use?" And I I custom created the whole thing. I didn't use any kind of pre-built solution that everybody was looking for. And so um, one person from that group talked to me privately and actually wanted me to privately train them how to build the websites like I did. And so I privately trained that person and turned my training from that into my very first digital product that I ever created. I also went on from there and created my first WordPress plugin that would create advertisements just like the ads that I had on that website that I shared. So the things that I knew led me into what I was actually creating. Now, the next thing I want to talk about briefly here is vendor sales. When you sell a digital product, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about doing it. Selling it on an affiliate network is one of the easiest ways that you can generate a large number of sales in a short period of time without having to do a lot of that work or do a lot of the promotions yourself. Vendor networks such as Warrior Plus and JVZoo are excellent for digital products. There are also some others that can be good for digital products. JVZoo and Warrior Plus are really more for marketing digital products. And then outside of the marketing realm, you have other networks such as ClickBank, for example. Any of these different networks, while they're great to use, they are going to charge you for every sale that you make through their network. Even if you refer the sale yourself, you're still going to end up getting charged a fee. So, for example, on JVZoo, any sale that you run through JVZoo, JVZoo is going to take a 5% cut. Now, PayPal, assuming you're taking your payments through PayPal, which is the most common way to go, PayPal will also take a cut. This will be, it's close to 5% in a lot of cases. It's actually a flat fee plus a smaller percentage. 2.9%, I believe, is what most accounts receive, but it can vary. So if you're selling a product on JVZoo, you already lose essentially close to 10% right off the top, 9 to 10% on average. That's not even including if you have an affiliate referring that sale that might be taking 50%. So the reason why I mention all of this is you only want to use those vendor networks, those affiliate networks, when you absolutely have to. When you get to the point where you already have customers and you create a new product, you can certainly sell that to them through these vendor networks. But if you do private sales, just with direct PayPal payments, for example, you can save 5% right off the top by not having to run your sales through a vendor network. Now, when it comes to affiliates, in general, you're going to have to offer 50% on almost any kind of digital product that you offer. Really, the only exception to that would be a digital service. If it is a digital service where you are going to have to put in a lot of time to be able to fulfill each order, they will oftentimes accept as low as maybe 30% in a commission for that, especially if it's a higher dollar value product. If it's something that costs a couple $100s or more and they get 30%, they still end up with a pretty decent commission and they're willing to promote those things. On top of the commissions, though, a lot of the most popular product launches will also involve an affiliate contest where they offer additional money on top of the commissions that are already being paid. In the long run, by running a launch this way, you easily end up with maybe 35 to 40% of the revenue from the entire launch being the actual profit that ends up in your pocket when all is said and done. After the affiliates get everything, after PayPal gets their chunk, after the affiliate networks get their chunk. So this may sound pretty low to you, but when you can deal with a large volume of sales and you really don't have to put in the effort to get those sales, then it becomes worth it. When they can send you 500 or 1,000 or multiple thousands of sales in a single week, that 35 to 40% adds up pretty quick. So now, the other question is, throughout the course of this whole series, as I teach you all of these things, why should you use my strategies as opposed to something that you might be taught elsewhere, other strategies that other people use for launching their own products? There are certainly multiple successful ways that you can go about launching your own products. And the way that I teach is definitely not the only way to go about doing it. But I've kind of done this on my own and built it from scratch over the years to the point where I don't necessarily use the same methods or systems that a lot of the other product developers are, because I created all of my systems and stuff myself. I did all of this because I was running it all as a solo venture. So if you are wanting to stay pretty small time in terms of, if you can't see yourself running a team of people and dealing with millions of dollars worth of sales each year, to the point where you're more in the realm of running a real business and not necessarily just working at home, um, with whatever time you want to devote to it. So my strategies are definitely more geared towards somebody that will not be doing a lot of outsourcing or having a big team of people involved. The benefit to that is you get to keep a large portion of your revenue, whereas a lot of those larger product development companies, um, the money gets split up so many different ways that honestly you don't end up making a lot more with a lot of that extra effort. All that extra money just goes to a lot more places. And so, in my personal opinion, uh, with with the niche at least that I chose, doing Amazon related type of stuff, it's not necessarily a large enough niche to justify more of the traditional company route where you have a lot of employees involved. So, depending on what you decide to do, depending on your niche, depending on what kind of demand there is for that type of product, it could vary for you. You may be better off using a team of employees. Despite the fact that I run a solo venture for the most part, except for customer service in a lot of cases, um, I still know about partnering up with people for these product launches, and I will be teaching you a lot of those things along the way throughout this series. Now, ultimately, no matter what niche you decide to choose, as I've mentioned before, you need to focus on a specific one, and you really need to have an idea in your mind of who is your perfect customer going to be. Let me use Amazon as an example here. Within the Amazon affiliate niche, there could be different kinds of customers still within the one niche here. You would have, for example, complete beginners, people that just found out that Amazon has an affiliate program and you can refer sales to them to earn a portion of those sales. And they're interested in finding out more, finding about how they can get into it, how they could get started. Now think of a different kind of Amazon affiliate, somebody that's been doing it for 5 or 10 years, somebody that already has their own websites, and maybe they just want to learn how to do it better, how to make more as an Amazon affiliate. Those two types of customers are completely different. The kind of product that they would want or be interested in buying would be completely different. You can't really make one product that will fit everybody. So you have to decide, who is your customer going to be? Are they the complete beginner that's just getting into this niche? Are they the person that's been around for a long time, that knows all about it, but still needs to learn more and wants to improve upon what they're already doing? Are they somewhere in between? No matter what you decide to target, you need to make sure that there are people that are interested in what you are wanting to do, and you need to have a clear message for them. On top of targeting Amazon affiliates over the years, I have had one clear message and mission statement the entire way that I have never faltered upon, and that is the dislike for automated content software, because I see in the real world the results or the lack of results that things like that are able to achieve. And I know it's not the right choice for the customer to be using. So I have always made that very clear that that's not the right way to go in this type of business. Now, in my particular business, it turns out that my mission statement keeps me away from the top earning types of products within my niche. The number one selling kind of Amazon product consistently since 2010 when I started doing this, and probably even before that, over and over and over again, the number one selling kind of product is that automated content software where you punch in a keyword, you click a few buttons, and boom, you have a whole website. That is not the number one kind of product because it is the most effective product, though. It is the number one kind of product because it is the easiest to sell. It sells a dream of riches and success with these Amazon websites for putting pretty much no effort into it. Ultimately, that is the dream of pretty much any internet marketing, at least for the average person that has fairly recently found out about it. And unfortunately, there are kind of two divisions within your product development community. Most people don't realize, but you have your marketers who will ruthlessly produce and market those types of products, knowing good and well that they're never going to be successful or work in the way that they advertise them. But they don't care because thousands upon thousands of people rush to buy them every time they create them. Now, that strategy that they use, yeah, it works to a certain extent, but you really can't play that trick on somebody more than a couple of times at most before it becomes very clear to them that this stuff is just simply not going to work. And then they go from having these insanely popular launches to disappearing overnight. So ask yourself, do you want to go the route that offers the quick buck? Or do you want to go the route that offers you longevity? And the route that I take is longevity, even though it means avoiding the best potential revenue in my entire niche. It allows me to stay in business because I don't teach things to people that don't work. I don't teach things to people that I haven't done myself already and proven that it works. And then I pass that stuff along to my customers. Even if you can't actually do those things yourself, if you can't prove that something works before you create a product or before you teach it to somebody, at least you can know from common sense, from seeing other products and other training methods that are out there, from seeing what other people are actually doing in their own businesses, you can make sure that you don't lead people down a path that's going to essentially prevent them from being able to be successful, because that doesn't have a good long-term future in it. Now, I have a couple of lists here for you. These lists are niches. Some of them in this first list are marketing niches, and then I have a non-marketing list for you as well. These niches are not a complete list of niches by any means, but these are some of the more popular ones in general that have a lot of them maintained their strength over the years. In any one of these given niches, there have been product launches where there's been sales of at least 1,000 items, and some of them go way above and beyond that. Now, I'll be providing you guys with these lists in um, essentially an ebook format that's basically a copy of this slideshow. So you will be able to refer back to these later on. I'm not going to go through them individually or anything like that, but instead what I want to do is show you how you can find this stuff out for yourself, how you can take an idea that you have and do a little bit of research on it and figure out, is this a good niche for me to target? Do I need to get more specific? Do I need to get a little broader with my niche selection? Or is it just fine where it is? So what I recommend to do for this type of research is to go straight to the source. You can use these various affiliate networks and vendor networks to actually research sales data on products that have been launched in the past. So you can use them to look for popular products. When you are doing this, you want to look for a couple of different things. You want to pay attention to what things are selling for, how easily they're selling, what the refund rates are, when these products were actually being created and launched, and checking to see if more than one person has been able to have success with that kind of product. So just to show you what I'm talking about here, I want to go over to JVZoo real quick, just to use this as an example. On the JVZoo website, when you create an account and you log into it, if you go to affiliates and then find products, you will be able to find all of the other potential products that you could promote as an affiliate. Now, you might be wondering, why should I care about this when I'm wanting to sell my product and not be an affiliate on it? There's actually a couple of different reasons. As I mentioned before, you can check to see how your niche has performed on these networks. How have other products that have been launched, how have they performed? But on top of that, a lot of people don't realize it when they're first creating a digital product in the very beginning, I certainly didn't realize it, is that once you actually create your own digital product and launch it and have your own customers, you can not only sell your own digital products to your customers, but you can also sell other similar relevant products to your customers. And in fact, this is one of the keys to being able to run a good launch yourself. The easiest way to get somebody else to be an affiliate for your product launch is to be an affiliate for their product launch. So you end up with, I like to think of it as like high school, where back in high school you had these different groups of people. You had the preppy kids, you had the nerdy kids, you had all these different groups, and the people within those groups kind of stuck to themselves. They didn't really mingle outside of their groups much, but the relationships within those groups got really, really tight. So, marketing is a lot like high school in that way. Your different niches are your different cliques from high school. So, your Amazon product developers, they're all kind of in a circle, essentially. And it grows to a point where you end up knowing all of the other developers of your niche, and you work with these people. You help them out, they help you out. Sometimes you guys will even put products on the back end of each other's launches, especially when you're first getting started. You create a brand new product and you're ready to launch it, but the problem is most successful launches don't involve just one product. You have the product that's being sold, but then when somebody buys that product, they're offered something else. And usually when they buy that product, they're offered yet another thing. Well, when you're first getting started, you might not have multiple products to sell to people. But one really easy way of achieving that is by finding somebody else in your niche and letting them use one of their products as the upsell for your launch. And you guys split the revenue from just the sales on that upsell. This also gets those people interested in promoting your launch because then they have a financial interest in how your launch performs. Now, again, this is something I will get into a lot more detail about as this series progresses. But just to start with, I want to show you how you could go about trying to research a potential niche for yourself. Let's say you're thinking about creating a WordPress plugin. This is something that would be fairly common. I'd be willing to bet at least a couple of people that are in this training series will actually go after this specific niche here. So the question is, how do WordPress launches do on the JVZoo network at least? And this is also something that could be checked on the Warrior Plus network as well. So when I search WordPress under these digital products that I can promote, and they're sorted here by the number of sales that have taken place on each of these products. The first number listed is the number of sales on that actual product itself, and then the next number listed is sales on the entire funnel. So this would be the product itself plus any upsales that were available for it. So remember what I mentioned earlier to you, how the most popular Amazon products are essentially automated store builders. Just in the WordPress category up here, there's at least a couple of them that are of that type of product. If I search Amazon, it's even more obvious. Under Amazon, Stream Store, Amazon Authority, Fresh Store Builder, Shopabot, Amazon Profit Builder, every single one of these products that have sold numbers in 5 to 10,000 range, they're all automated software. And if people buy this software and use it the way that it's essentially designed to be used, they're pretty much guaranteed to fail with it. And yet, this is consistently, year after year, the most popular type of Amazon product that is on the market. Now, I mention this because it's worth knowing. Any niche could have that kind of a product in it. I think it is worthwhile to watch out for and to try to avoid them whenever possible. So now, within WordPress, I can obviously tell that there are plenty of sales that are taking place. I can go into individual products and see what these products actually are. I can see what is the most popular product or the most popular couple of products that are related to WordPress. I also want to pay attention to how these launches have actually performed. For example, we have refund rates up here and also conversion rates. We can look at these refund rates to tell typically when you're dealing with one of those more scammy type of products, in my opinion, you're usually going to see much higher refund rates. And unfortunately, this ends up being the case with the vast majority of the most popular products that are launched. A lot of them suffer refund rates of really high percentages. Whereas something that's much lower, this one right here, for example, this is probably a much higher quality product. Now, you also want to pay attention to dates. When were these products actually launched? This one launched in 2012, but this one launched just a couple of months ago. So when you're using this data to try to figure out, could I create a product in this niche and would it potentially be popular? If you're finding that similar products have been really popular, but nothing has been really popular in the last couple of years, it's possible that the interest in that niche may have been declining over time. Under WordPress, you can see that from 2012 all the way through just a couple of months ago, this niche is going pretty strong. There are not a lot of other top performers, at least not in this very first listing here. There's one from 2017, another one from 2017. So they are still there. They seem to be maybe a little less common than they used to be, but there are certainly still very popular WordPress launches that are taking place. I can also see that the same person has been able to achieve a popular launch over and over again within this niche. At least 3 or 4 or 5 different names stand out as I scroll through these top products that are being listed. So, with that said, I can, with reasonable confidence, determine that this should be a pretty decent niche to pursue. if I could create a product that appeals to the same types of customers that a lot of these other really popular products have appealed to, then I should be able to achieve a lot of the same results from something like that. Hey, there's me on page 3, most popular WordPress products that exist on JVZoo. Now, once you've kind of determined that a launch has a niche has a lot of launch potential within it, this gives you more confidence in terms of creating your own products. It also gives you information to go on in terms of once you create a product, whatever product you might have an idea for in your head, imagine creating that product and selling it to 1,000 people. Do you think that the people that bought your product, what other kinds of products do you think those people would be interested in buying? And can you find other launches that seem to take place on a somewhat regular basis that fall into those lines? Because combining your own products and sales on your products in with doing promotions on other people's products, you can really make a fairly equivalent amount of money from both of those things. So from the very get-go, I find that you're better off if you consider whether there's other stuff that you're going to be able to promote alongside of your product. You don't really want to be promoting a direct competition or a direct conflict with your product. You want to promote something that would kind of work with your product in a lot of ways, or at least those are the ones where you will find that you get the best results from those kinds of promotions. Now, there are a lot of other places that you can go to do research. I'm not going to be diving into these specifically in this particular class in terms of demonstrating them to you. A lot of these are fairly straightforward things, such as the Google Keyword Planner. Just like you would do keyword research for any website, you do the same type of keyword research for the niche that you are thinking about building a product for. You can find just a general level of interest in how many people are searching for products like that. This also gives you the potential for future search engine content that you might want to create on your website to try to capture some of this traffic off of Google. When you can accomplish things like that, you can get a lot of ongoing sales on your own products on a regular basis. Using other resources like Facebook, use their advertising system to see what kind of an interest there might be in certain products. At some point, you may even be interested in doing your own advertising on Google or on Facebook. So again, it can be good to know what the traffic potential is under those advertising platforms. And along those lines, I think it's really important to mention, because this is certainly not something that I was really aware of in the very beginning when I was creating my own products, is advertising can sometimes become a tricky business when your product niche is based on another company's name. So for my product niche, being Amazon and WordPress, they're both company names. And so it becomes problematic to find or to at least advertise to find your own customers in these niches because you can't target them specifically enough. For example, if I want to run an advertisement to try to find people that are interested in being Amazon affiliates, I cannot go after anything that includes the word Amazon in it whatsoever. I have to go broader than that and target affiliate marketing. And then essentially a small portion or a certain percentage of people that are interested in affiliate marketing as a whole might end up being interested in Amazon. And that's really not the way you want to have to advertise something. So it's good to know ahead of time whether you will have options of advertising your products without using the name of another company. Can you get specific enough without using another company's name in terms of keywords that you might want to advertise on? Now, I also recommend checking out Facebook groups, especially if you are more of the social media type of person. Personally, I'm really not that big into social media, which seems a little weird for somebody that does marketing for a living, but some people prefer having, a lot of conversations and interactions with others, and some people don't. It's something that you would either do or not do in your own personal life. And so, whatever you would do in your own personal life, try and translate that to your business too. So if you love Facebook in your personal life and you spend all the time on it and you're constantly engaging with people in other Facebook groups and things of that nature, utilize that same thing for your own digital product creation business. Create your own Facebook group that has to do with your digital product creation business. If it's something that you will be active in on a daily basis and you'll engage with other people that are in that group, you can build massive audiences completely for free using that particular platform. But again, it's something that really only works if it's something that falls in line with what you personally enjoy doing. You can't just set up something like that and leave it there to collect dust and expect for you to be able to really gain something from it. You have to work with a Facebook group on a daily basis. Now, also use other resources depending on what kind of a niche you're going after. It can heavily vary what other resources you might want to use. But just for example, any kind of marketing based niche, go and check out marketing forums such as the Warrior Forum. See what people talk about on those forums. See what the popular or commonly talked about niches are. Could you engage with other people on those forums and generate new customers potentially? Any of these different things, they're all potential sources of sales and customers for you in the future. But even if you never use any of these things, even if you never try to refer the first sale yourself on your own products, this information is still useful just to try to estimate what kind of a demand or interest there might be for your products and for your niche. Now, I have a couple of checklists for you that are designed to help you figure out if you are making a good choice or not on your niche. A lot of these questions are directly geared towards other people's launches. And essentially, they're the same questions that you would ask yourself if you were about to be an affiliate for a digital product niche. First one, is this niche specific enough to make it easy to target, but also broad enough to have a large market? Some of the things I was telling you about Amazon before, obviously, Amazon is specific enough that makes it easy to target in some ways, as long as we're not really dealing with paid advertising. And it is broad enough to have a large market. Amazon, obviously, in the last 9-10 years since I started creating my own digital products for it, it's grown quite substantially during that time. And when I first started, there was a big enough market for it. Now there's certainly a big enough market. Now, are there regular launches on these different networks for that niche? There are. Amazon, though, in terms of being a popular type of digital product, it was definitely more popular in the past, in my opinion. There are certainly still Amazon launches that take place, but a large majority of them nowadays seem to be focused on those lower quality types of products that sell really well, like the automated store builders. So while there are regular launches, it's not something these days, most of the time, that really fits in with my mission statement anymore. Simply because a lot of the other developers have realized the better sales take place in these certain types of products, and I really don't deal in those types of products. So in the past, I would have thought Amazon was a good niche to pursue. Nowadays, it's questionable whether it would be a good niche to pursue in terms of somebody that was just getting started creating their own digital products. WordPress, though, I definitely believe is still going very, very strong and would be an excellent niche to pursue. Now, do affiliate products have a high or low customer value? What I mean by this is, what are people actually paying in terms of, what do you think each individual customer, let's say they follow you for 10 years. What do you think each individual customer might reasonably buy from you during that time period? Are we talking $50 or $100 for every individual customer? Or are we talking thousands of dollars potentially per customer? When you have a really low customer value, if they're buying a low priced product, and then once they have that product, they don't really need anything else, that's going to be a pretty low customer value. High customer value, any kind of membership site or software as a service or website hosting, things along those lines have very high customer values because they're typically subscription-based models where one single customer could potentially bring ongoing revenue. And then over the course of the lifetime of that customer, the value ends up being potentially into the thousands. When you are dealing with a higher customer value niche, it's a lot easier to make a living from it because you need less people. You're dealing with really low customer value where if they buy something from you, they're likely to never buy again because they just won't need anything else. You always have to be acquiring new customers in those industries to be able to be successful. Whereas with the higher value, with the recurring products, you can acquire less customers and a lot of times make more from them in the end. Now, can you easily get traffic and leads for it? Free traffic or paid traffic, it doesn't matter. Um, it's not a requirement for a digital product business to be able to get your own traffic and leads, as shocking as that may sound. You can 100% run this kind of business by letting other people do all of your traffic and leads and sales for you. But it's still good, in my opinion, to have the option to do those types of things, especially if you launch a product or a couple of products and they're extremely popular and you want to try to expand and do even more if you want to drive more sales to those same products. This is the way to go about doing it, with being able to generate your own traffic and your own leads and your own sales. Now, how do the little guys do in the niche? This is something that's pretty easy to overlook. What I mean by that is when I was looking at this list of WordPress launches, it can be pretty easy to take a look at something like this and to get blinded by the numbers. Let's check out these numbers here real quick. The number one product, WordPress labeled product that has ever been launched on JVZoo that is still currently active and listed on the website, because you can pull products down from this list, is a product called Profit Builder. I actually have purchased this product myself and use it. This product sold in the whole funnel over 17,000 copies. So let's just stop it at a straight 17,000, but it's done more than that. And the average price is $56.52. So this entire product launch, now this is from 2014 through current. There could very well still be ongoing sales happening with this product that causes this number to keep going up. But overall, this product has done sales of just shy of about $1 million. Honestly, it's probably hit about $1 million. So sure, anybody could look at these numbers and think, wow, yeah, I want to do this. I want to make $1 million selling a WordPress plugin. Yes, it is possible, but your chances of achieving that on your very first product launch are not very good. Sean has been around for many, many years. And so this is by no means his first product launch ever. So this is not something typical to expect your very first time out. But what I can do is take a look at how the recent product launches have been going. So I'm looking at the 2018 stuff. Now you will see a lot of this type of things on JVZoo and Warrior Plus, and likely even other networks, where there's a lot of products that show essentially no activity and no sales taking place on them. That's completely normal. What you are looking for, though, are the launches from people that have done something similar to what you are trying to do, but they're not the big name guys. They're not the guys that have been around for 10 years or more doing this type of thing. For example, this product here, it is a WordPress theme. by a guy called Astro Blue. I am not familiar with this guy at all. It looks like he's had a number of different launches though. So this certainly isn't a first launch of his by any means. But he did about 200 sales at $27 a piece. So that is $5,400 or so. Not too bad for a product launch if he's working entirely by himself in the course of most of those sales usually come in the course of about a week. So to make $5,400 mostly all on your own is not too shabby. And you can actually get away with running an entire WordPress plugin or theme creation business off of getting a few hundred sales per plugin. So what you're looking for is these types of people that are doing moderately well in this industry, but they're not the big name people. There's a pretty good chance your very first product launch that you ever do, you will probably end up, more like one of these plugins. Getting a couple hundred sales on it would be a pretty successful victory, in my opinion. So don't be disappointed if you can't achieve 5 or 10 or 20,000 sales on a product, the very first product that you ever create. Your chances of doing that are not very good if you are working entirely solo. Now, I am later in this series going to talk to you about doing something called a JV partnership, where you actually team up with somebody that all they do is run these product launches. And you give them 50% of the profits from the entire launch just to run the launch for you. Now, we're talking about after PayPal fees and JVZoo fees and affiliate commissions come off the top. The leftover from that is your profit. When you have a JV partner, you and him usually will end up splitting those profits. So that bumps your total profit from your gross sales. If you get a JV partner involved, you are likely going to be profiting somewhere around 17.5% of your gross sales from the entire launch. Now, this sounds pretty horrible, 17.5%. But if your very first product launch ever could go out there and instead of doing a couple hundred sales, if it could do a couple thousand sales instead, it would be worth giving up the other half of those profits, especially when you don't even have to do the work to pull the launch off, to recruit affiliates for it, things of that nature. Just as an example, that $960,000 launch that I was looking at before, if you took home 17.5% of that product launch, you're still looking at a pretty hefty chunk of change, even though, again, this would not be typical numbers for the average product launch. That was one of the better performing WordPress launches ever. Now, that's not anywhere close to being the best performing product launch ever on JVZoo. The best ones ever in terms of sheer numbers, it's VideoMaker FX. In terms of actual profits, it's probably videos. But again, while I'm going to show you these numbers, don't get blinded by them by any means. 98,000 sales at an average price of $50.20. You're talking about gross sales of almost $5 million on this videos product since 2010. So in the last slightly over 2 years. over almost $5 million in sales. But again, these are entire teams of people that are putting together these crazy huge launches that are achieving 10,000 to 100,000 sales. This is not realistic for somebody that is just getting started. However, I do not personally know a lot of different JV partners because I do not personally use them in my business. I run all the launches myself instead of doing these partnerships. However, within the Amazon and WordPress industry, WordPress especially, this is one particular JV partner, and you can see the kind of numbers that he can typically achieve. There are usually not launches that are taking place of his that don't get at least 1,000 sales, and a lot of them get quite a few more than that. Every now and again, there will be a lower performing one, but it really just kind of depends on the type of product. His average launch so will be, more in this neighborhood. You can certainly partner with somebody like this. When you create a product yourself, get them to run the launch for you, and you can, on your very first launch ever, do 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 sales. The point of all this, though, by being able to see what other people have done, and not just the best of those launches, but the lesser ones as well, it can give you a much clearer picture of what you could feasibly expect from developing your own products in that niche and launching it in this same manner. Now, something I mentioned earlier about my own business, about my own digital products, and your mission statement. Will your niche mission statement allow you to actually promote enough products? My mission statement, it used to allow me to promote a decent amount of products. There are not a lot of those types of products being released anymore. These days, I would say it probably doesn't allow me to promote enough products. Unless I were to branch out more and do more heavily WordPress based stuff and less Amazon type of stuff would be the only way that I could promote other affiliate products on any kind of a regular basis. Now, this isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world as long as your business could generate some kind of a monthly revenue from it. Being able to promote other people's products becomes less important. So it will heavily depend on exactly what niche you actually want to try to pursue. So now for today's class, what I would like for you to do between now and the second class of this series is to try to do some niche research for yourself. Think about the knowledge and skills that you have and what niches those would apply to the best. Try to explore those niches to figure out what kind of potential there is for it. What kind of customer value do you think you will have? How popular is the niche? What kinds of products within that niche are popular? How many different vendors can you find in that niche that are actively selling products and doing pretty decent in terms of getting at least a couple hundred sales per product that they put out there? The more other people that are selling products and the more sales that they have been able to achieve themselves, in a lot of ways, that number is your customer potential in a way. And what I mean by that is, let's say I go to JVZoo and I search WordPress and I go through every single WordPress product that's listed there that's ever launched, and I tally up the total number of sales. Now, there's a pretty good chance that the same people have bought multiple products, so I could probably slash that number in half right away. But still, that would give me a rough estimate of how many people are out there that might potentially be able to see my product, because the affiliates that you get will be these other vendors, these other product developers. And so if they have sold, let's say one particular person has sold $10,000 or 10,000 items worth of stuff on JVZoo, then that is likely going to be the size of their customer list in terms of when they send out an email to somebody, um, how many people is that email actually gonna get sent to? Once you can figure out the number of vendors that are out there, and you don't have to calculate this number specifically, but you do kind of want to know, are there, for example, 10,000 people out there that have purchased a similar kind of product on JVZoo? Or are there hundreds of thousands of people that have purchased a similar kind of product on JVZoo? You want to make sure that there is enough sales potential. At a bare minimum, if you can't find tens of thousands of sales taking place in your niche on JVZoo, then I would seriously reconsider that niche and whether it would be a good choice or not. Now, your niche traffic potential, both free and paid, is important for possible future expansion, but also just to give you an idea of how much demand there might be for your product. How often are people launching products of that type? For example, if I'm focusing on nothing but WordPress and I want to be able to promote other people's WordPress products alongside of my own, am I looking at once a week that there's a new WordPress product that I could choose to promote? Or is it, a couple times a year? Or is it multiple times every week? The higher frequency of those launches simply means that there's more stuff available that you could potentially promote. There will likely be more potential affiliates that you could get and more possible customers available in those niches. Now, once you have kind of done all of this research and you can verify that there's definitely a demand for sales in your niche for the type of product that you want to go after, that there's definitely going to be a decent number of other vendors that you could promote their products, or they could be potential affiliates for your product as well. You can make a much more confident decision in terms of selecting your niche before you even get started with putting forth the effort to create something for that niche. So once you have narrowed in on something and you believe it would be a good choice for your niche, I highly recommend for you to try to come up with a mission statement for yourself. What will set you apart from other marketers that are within your niche? What's special, or why should people listen to what you have to say, or why should they use your software over other people's software. Whatever it is that you are trying to do, you want to try to come up with this clear mission statement. And this is something that you want to follow through all the products that you create for your niche, now and far into the future. It's something you want to follow with the other products that you are promoting besides your own as well. This allows you to, in the long term, to make more sense for people to be able to understand what it is you are about, what your purpose is, how you're trying to help them. I started developing my own Amazon products, not because I had big dollar symbols flashing in my eyes, but because I heard about a lot of people essentially getting scammed where they're interested in doing something and they seek the best information that they can find or try to find about that subject. And that information is purposefully designed to trick them out of their money and to give them a strategy that's not actually going to work for them. After seeing this kind of thing taking place over and over again, and then after sharing my own website and realizing that I actually did something that other people thought was pretty cool and wanted to know how I was doing it, it became clear to me what my mission statement was going to be. And that's something that I've continued over all of these years. And because of that, I'm still around all these years later. I still have a lot of the same customers that I had even back in 2010. Just looking at people that are here in today's class, there are at least a couple of you here that I remember you were customers on the very first plugin that I ever created back in 2010. And you're still here because I've obviously done something right over all that time. My goal is not to mislead you into buying something to get you to buy something. It's to sell something to you that's actually going to help with your goals, to help you to build and grow your business. So no matter what niche you decide to go after, I highly recommend for you to try to adopt a similar type of policy where, yes, you need to be able to earn money from what you're doing, or else you can't put forth all of your time and effort into doing it. But you don't need to do it in a way that tricks people, that deceives them into doing something that you already know ahead of time is not going to actually help or work for them. When you can avoid that type of stuff in the marketing industry, and there's a lot of it, and it's easy to get sucked into it because that's usually where the best money is, unfortunately. But when you can avoid that type of stuff, you will typically find that your business can last long term because you build loyal customers over the year. You grow your business over time instead of burning bridges over time, which is something that is pretty commonly seen among a lot of marketers, even a lot of the big name marketers. Um, Unfortunately, they burn bridges over and over again, and then after a couple of years, they're just gone all of a sudden. Now, once you have been able to pick the niche that you want to try to pursue with these digital products, In the next class in this series, we're going to learn about actually creating some of these products, and then we will proceed on from there and learn about how to go about actually getting these things sold. So I will be teaching you the whole process from beginning to end, starting with the product creation, getting a launch put together, a website where you actually sell your product, taking you all the way through to the end of running your product launches and doing even long-term sales on these products that you create. So starting with class number 2, we will be learning about how to create a number of different kinds of very specific types of products, such as a video training course or an ebook or a WordPress plugin.